So how does the United States agreement with Australia for rare earth minerals factor into President Trump's long-term action to step up mining domestically? To discuss these latest developments, we welcome Rich Nolan, president of the National Mining Association. Rich Nolan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you with us. So, Rich, the U.S. and Australia is striking a deal for about $8.5 billion for projects adding up to. Let's start with the basics. What are these minerals used for, and why are they so important?
Well, for years, the United States has been now reliant on China for so many of the critical minerals that go into national security and defense systems. They're used in guided missiles, they're used in jets, fighter jets, night vision goggles, even ammunition. So it's really, really critical for our national security to have these materials from our allies or from domestic sources.
Can we mine these minerals ourselves? What is the state of production here domestically?
So we do have these materials across the country. They're in different forms. Some are being mined, MP materials, for example. Others are not. And what we really need to do is reshore what's gone over to China and bring it back to the United States to create strong, high-paying mining jobs here in the U.S. with the greatest technology and highest health and safety standards. Bring it home, reshore that. Hats off to the Trump administration for taking steps to do that, to improve the permitting regimes here in the United States, to put forward financial incentives, price floors, to bring these markets back to the United States, stand up those processing facilities. But as part of that, we also know it takes too long to get these things stood up here in the United States, to get these mines stood up. 10 years, 29 years, different estimates are out there. The Australians have a strong track record, robust mineral reserve. So I think in the interim, till we can get the domestic supply stood up, we're going to also be relying on our allies such as Australia. And that's the framework that was signed yesterday by Prime Minister Albanese and President Trump.
I think a lot of folks are just sort of scratching their heads saying, how did we ultimately get into this situation? You touched on permitting. Were the barriers to get into this type of business, the permits, was that the issue, or were there other factors?
Well, there's certainly a lot of barriers around the bureaucracy and what it takes to get all the environmental approvals. The mining industry in the United States is the most heavily regulated industry in the United States. We have an alphabet soup of regulators that are watching every move, every approval process. The community engagement, the involvement, the social license to operate is something we take great pride in. So that takes a lot of time to move through those checks. And then on top of that, when you're at the end of the line, every major mining project is litigated and challenged by the NGO community to try to take it down. So there's a real problem in this country with that, and the administration is trying to remove those barriers every day. They're using emergency procedures to expedite a lot of these projects all across the West and other states where these materials live, and we're excited about this era. This is the most minerals intensive era that we've probably seen since World War II. It's very exciting. It's now bipartisan. We're at the cool kids table, and we're going to keep on pressing.
Now, there's, I guess the process of extracting the rare earths, but then there's the refining process. This is the process that we're hearing so much about that we don't have the capacity to do. Talk to us about what goes into the refining process and why it's so difficult.
Sure, a lot of it has to do with chemicals and the treatment of that raw material. That's, when you get it out of the ground, it's mixed with other types of earths, and that has to be moved through a system to purify that material so that it can be used at the consumer and manufacturing level. And each metal has a different processing system that, again, is also heavily regulated from an environmental standpoint and a safety standpoint. And going back about 20 years ago with just-in-time inventory and the increase in free market economics, which isn't the wrong approach. Unfortunately, it had the disadvantage of driving those domestic industries to cheaper territories where there's less environmental regulation, such as China, or safety enforcement and labor laws with child labor.
Now, China, as we know, just recently shook the global economy by threatening strict export controls on rare earth minerals. to the United States. How much leverage do they have with these as we stand? And what is a realistic timetable for us to become independent from China?
So China controls 90% of the rare earth processing capacity in the world and 60% of the mining capacity. So it's a real threat. They did the same thing to Japan approximately 14 years ago, and the world sort of came together, and Australians came in and helped out, and a lot of Japan's reliance moved to Australia. I think what you saw today is the administration taking similar steps to what we saw 14 years ago to build that alliance, to invest in processing plants, say for a gallium in Western Australia. I mean, it's a great move. You know, as the head of the Domestic Mining Association, I'd like to see those same moves here, and we're starting to see that. It's just going to take time. So we're 10 to 20 years behind, and we've got to move fast. And it's going to take all of these projects globally, as well as here in the United States, to make sure we get back to a safe level so we can have secure minerals for our national defense and our economy.
I mean, of course, the issue of just doesn't matter if it's an ally or not. You never know. When it comes to national security, it's best to have production at home. Is the cooperation, do you think, between Australia and the United States enough to counteract China's threats as it stands? And what are some other allies that we might be able to work with? Are there any on this hemisphere?
Well, I think Australia is a great place to start. We certainly have a strong relationship with Canada. They're a traditional ally when it comes to minerals processing and production. And South America has tremendous resources as well for copper. But again, to go back to my touchstone point, we have all of this here. We have tremendous copper resources in the southwest of this country, gold resources, uranium, lithium, it's all here. We just have to have the will and the resources to get it. The Trump administration is taking steps to do that with incentives, with price supports, with processing incentives as well. So we're excited. It's just going to take a little while.
Well, hopefully we get him back here soon. Rich Nolan, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.